Here's the thing about walking into a Target for just toilet paper and walking out with a cart full of stuff you didn't even know existed 5 minutes ago. You tell yourself you need that new phone charger because yours is getting old, even though it works perfectly fine. You grab those trendy storage bins because your life will definitely be more organized this time. And somehow, that $20 trip just became $150 of regret disguised as retail therapy. Sound familiar? Yeah, I thought so. My name is Nick, and I've been thinking way too much about why we keep buying our way into financial quicksand while convincing ourselves we're making smart purchases. If you're someone who looks at your credit card statement and wonders where all that money went, or if you've ever felt like you're working harder than ever, but your bank account looks like it's stuck in neutral, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Because today, we're not talking about budgeting apps or investment strategies, we're talking about something much more radical. We're talking about the buy nothing rebellion and the 5 categories of purchases that are quietly destroying your financial future. Here's what most financial advice gets completely wrong. They tell you to track every penny and cut back on your morning coffee as if saving $4 a day is going to transform your life. But that advice completely misses the real problem. The problem isn't that you're buying small things. The problem is that you've been programmed to believe that buying things equals progress, that upgrading equals improvement, and that convenience equals success. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? What if the secret to financial freedom isn't buying smarter, but buying less? The buy nothing rebellion isn't about living like a monk or depriving yourself of everything enjoyable. It's about recognizing that most of what we purchase is psychological junk food. It feels good in the moment, but it leaves you broke, stressed, and somehow still wanting more. It's about understanding that every dollar you don't spend on unnecessary garbage is a dollar that can actually work for you instead of against you. Today, I'm going to break down the 5 categories of purchases that I've personally sworn off and why eliminating them from your life isn't just smart money management. It's an act of rebellion against a system designed to keep you financially dependent. Fair warning though, number 5 is going to hit close to home for a lot of you. I'm apologizing in advance because it's probably something you did just this week. Let's start with the biggest wealth destroyer in American households, and that's cars with monthly payments. The average new car in America now costs over $50,000. Let me repeat that because it sounds insane even saying it out loud. $50,000 for something that loses 15% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. But here's the psychological trap that gets everyone. Car dealerships don't want you thinking about the total cost. They want you focused on that monthly payment. It's only $650 a month, they'll say, as if that's some kind of bargain. $650 a month is nearly $8,000 a year. That's money that could be invested, saved for emergencies, or used to actually build wealth instead of financing a depreciating asset. Think about the math for a second. If you took that $650 every month and invested it at average market return, you'd have around $400,000 after 20 years. But instead, you'll have gone through multiple cars, paid tens of thousands in interest, and have nothing to show for it except the privilege of always having a car payment. I drive a 2007 Toyota Camry. It's not winning any beauty contests, and thieves aren't exactly lining up to steal it. But you know what it does? It gets me from point A to point B without a monthly payment hanging over my head. And while everyone else is competing for the latest model with the fanciest features, I'm stacking money and building actual wealth. Here's the reality check that nobody wants to hear. You don't own that car until it's completely paid off. Until then, you're just renting it from the bank at an astronomical rate. And the moment you can't make those payments, they'll come take their car back. That's not ownership. That's financial servitude with better marketing. The second category I've completely eliminated is status symbols, especially anything designed to hang on your body or feet. No status watches, no designer sneakers, no luxury jewelry, and no trendy clothes just because they dropped this season. I'm not dressing for validation or trying to impress people who frankly don't care about my financial well-being. We've created this bizarre culture where people are financially drowning but look amazing doing it. They've got $300 sneakers on their feet and $3 in their savings account. They're wearing designer clothes to jobs they hate so they can afford more designer clothes they don't need. It's a hamster wheel made of cotton and leather. Here's what's fascinating about truly wealthy people. Most of them don't dress like they have money. Sure, the billionaires with their own reality shows might rock design or everything, but the majority of millionaires you pass on the street look completely ordinary. They're not trying to prove anything through their wardrobe because they don't need external validation. Their wealth shows up in their bank accounts, their investment portfolios, and their choices, not in their closets. Status doesn't pay your mortgage, status doesn't fund your retirement, status doesn't buy you freedom or peace of mind, but it sure does buy you debt, stress, and the constant pressure to keep up appearances you can't afford. The third financial trap I've sworn off is luxury vacations, especially ones financed with credit cards. Don't get me wrong, traveling can be incredible. Seeing the world, experiencing different cultures, creating memories with people you love, these are valuable experiences. But if you can't save for it and pay for it in cash, you're not going on a vacation, you're going into debt with better scenery. I'm not flying to some tropical paradise to sit on a beach just to come home broke and stressed. That's not a vacation, that's a financial hangover that lasts months. Too many people are financing fun and calling it self-care. They'll say they need a mental health break, so they charge $5,000 to their credit card for a week in Europe. You know what's actually good for your mental health? Not having credit card debt, not lying awake at night, wondering how you're going to make minimum payments, not sacrificing your financial future for a week of Instagram photos that nobody will remember in 6 months. If you want a mental health break, take a walk in a local park. Go hiking on a nearby trail. Sit by a lake that's 30 minutes from your house. Read a book under a tree. Mental health doesn't require a passport and a maxed out credit card. The experiences people buy and can't afford aren't really experiences anyway. They're performances, they're buying the appearance of living their best life while actually making their real life worse. And for what? So, people they barely know can double tap a photo on social media? When I do travel, it's planned, budgeted, and paid for in advance. No financial stress, no guilt, no credit card bills waiting at home. That's when travel becomes what it's supposed to be, rejuvenating instead of debt creating. The fourth category that's getting the boot from my life is the upgrade trap, and this one is everywhere. Your phone works perfectly fine, but suddenly there's a new model with a slightly better camera and a different color option. Your laptop runs every program you need, but Apple just released one that's 3 millimeters thinner. Your television displays every show and movie in crystal clear quality, but now there's one with 4 more inches and something called HDR that you don't even understand. Here's the thing about upgrades. They're not about making your life better. They're about making your wallet lighter. The upgrade culture is a psychological con game designed to make you feel like your perfectly functional stuff is somehow inadequate. It's artificial obsolescence wrapped in shiny marketing. My phone does exactly 3 things that matter. It connects to the internet, it takes decent photos, and it makes phone calls. That's it. I don't need 17 different camera lenses to take a picture of my lunch. I don't need a processor powerful enough to run NASA simulations just to check my email. And I definitely don't need to pay $1,000 for the privilege of having the same phone as everyone else, just in a slightly different shade of blue. When AT&T or Verizon sends me those helpful emails reminding me it's time to upgrade, I see them for what they really are. They're not opportunities, they're invitations to financial servitude. They want me locked into another 2-year contract paying monthly fees for a device that does exactly what my current device does, just with more bells and whistles I'll never use. The upgrade trap works because it preys on our fear of being left behind. We see other people with the latest gadgets and suddenly our stuff feels outdated even though it worked perfectly fine 5 minutes ago. It's like being convinced you need a new pair of shoes because someone walked by wearing a different brand. Your feet are still covered, you're still walking just fine, but now you feel inadequate. I'll upgrade when my current device stops doing what I need it to do, not when some marketing department decides it's time for me to spend money. That's the difference between being a consumer and being in control of your consumption. But here's the category that's going to ruffle some feathers, and I warned you this was coming. I'm done buying food delivery, and before you start typing angry comments, hear me out. If you're injured, sick, or genuinely unable to leave your house, this doesn't apply to you. But for everyone else who's physically capable of getting their own food, we need to have an honest conversation about what food delivery really is. It's lazy tax. You're literally paying extra money for the convenience of not moving your body. Think about the economics for a second. You're paying $15 to $30 for food that's being prepared 2 miles from your house. Add in the delivery fees, the service charges, the tips, and the markup on the actual food, and you've just paid double for something you could have picked up yourself with a 20-minute round trip. But it's not really about the money, although the money adds up fast. It's about what this habit represents. It's the slow erosion of basic life skills and personal responsibility disguised as convenience. We've reached a point where walking or driving to get food feels like an unreasonable burden. Food delivery apps have turned getting a meal into an impulse purchase. You're sitting on your couch, you get a little hungry, you open an app, and suddenly you're spending $25 on mediocre Chinese food that you could have made better at home for $5. It's the Amazon one-click button for your stomach. And let's be honest about the quality. Food that sits in a delivery bag for 30 minutes while someone drives around town isn't exactly at its peak. You're paying premium prices for lukewarm disappointment. Meanwhile, the restaurant down the street is serving the same dish hot and fresh for half the price if you just walk through their front door. The real kicker is that most people who regularly use food delivery are the same people complaining they don't have money to invest or save for emergencies. They're spending $200 a month on delivered meals while claiming they can't afford to put $50 into an investment account. That's not a money problem, that's a priority problem. I'm not saying never order delivery. I'm saying treat it like the luxury expense it actually is instead of pretending it's a necessity. If you're celebrating something special, if you genuinely can't leave the house, if you're having people over and want to focus on hosting instead of cooking, fine. But using it because you can't be bothered to get off the couch, that's not, self-care, that's self-sabotage. Here's what happens when you eliminate these 5 categories from your spending. You don't just save money, you reclaim your agency. You stop being a passive consumer and start being an active participant in your own financial life. Every time you say no to something that doesn't build your wealth, you're saying yes to the life you actually want in the future. The buy nothing rebellion isn't about deprivation. It's about intentionality. It's about recognizing that your money is a tool, not entertainment. It's about understanding that every dollar you spend on status, upgrades, finance experiences, car payments, and convenience is a dollar that can't compound, grow, or work for your future self. And here's the beautiful irony. The less stuff you buy, the richer you feel. Not because you have more money in your account, although you will, but because you're no longer enslaved to the endless cycle of wanting, buying, regretting, and wanting again. You break free from the psychological treadmill that keeps most people financially exhausted. The companies selling you this stuff are counting on you staying addicted to the cycle. They need you to believe that happiness is always one purchase away, that your current life is somehow insufficient without their product. But what if your current life is actually pretty great already? What if the thing you're missing isn't another gadget or status symbol, but the peace of mind that comes from not owing anyone anything? This isn't about becoming some minimalist monk who owns 3 shirts and eats beans from a can. This is about recognizing that the emperor has no clothes, and the emperor in this case is consumer culture promising you happiness through your credit card. Look, I get it. Breaking these habits feels impossible at first. You're going to walk past the car dealership and feel a little pang of envy when you see that shiny new SUV. You're going to scroll through Instagram and see your friend posting from their debt-funded vacation to Bali, and you'll question whether you're missing out. You're going to hold your 3-year-old phone and wonder if you're falling behind technologically. But here's what nobody tells you about the buy nothing rebellion. The first month is the hardest. Your brain is literally going through withdrawal from the dopamine hits of purchasing stuff. Shopping addiction is real, and like any addiction, breaking it requires rewiring neural pathways that have been carved deep by years of impulse buying. Month 2 gets easier. You start noticing how much mental space you have when you're not constantly evaluating whether you need the latest thing. You're not spending Saturday afternoons wandering through Target in a consumer trance. You're not refreshing Amazon, looking for deals on stuff you didn't know existed. By month 3, something magical happens. You start feeling genuinely sorry for people trapped in the consumption cycle. You'll watch someone stress about affording their car payment while wearing $200 sneakers, and instead of judgment, you'll feel relief that you're not living that contradiction anymore. The money part is obvious. When you stop bleeding cash on status symbols, car payments, credit card vacations, unnecessary upgrades, and food delivery, your bank account starts looking healthier. But the psychological shift is even more profound. You realize that most of what you thought you wanted was actually what advertising told you to want. That car payment you're avoiding, that's not just $650 a month, that's financial flexibility. That's the ability to take a lower paying job if it aligns with your values. That's the freedom to quit if your boss becomes unbearable. That's the option to start your own business without worrying about fixed monthly payments. Those status purchases you're skipping, that's not just money saved, that's confidence that doesn't depend on external validation. When your self worth isn't tied to your wardrobe or your watch, you become psychologically invincible. Nobody can make you feel poor because you've redefined what wealth actually means. Those credit card vacations you're not taking, that's not missing out on experiences, that's gaining the experience of financial peace. The stress relief from not having debt is better than any spa day. The mental clarity from not owing money is more refreshing than any tropical beach. Those upgrades you're refusing, that's not falling behind. That's stepping off the hamster wheel entirely. While everyone else is running faster and faster to keep up with technological fashion trends, you're walking calmly in whatever direction you choose. And that food delivery habit you've broken, that's not just saving money, that's reclaiming basic life skills. You're cooking more, which is healthier and cheaper. You're getting out of the house to pick up food occasionally, which is light exercise. You're not impulse ordering mediocre meals just because you're bored. Here's the part that might surprise you. The Buy Nothing Rebellion actually makes you more generous, not less. When you're not wasting money on your own financial quicksand, you have more resources to help people who actually need it. You can be generous with your time because you're not working overtime to afford car payments. You can be generous with your money because you're not spending it on status anxiety. People will try to shame you for opting out. They'll call you cheap or say you're missing out on life. But these are usually the same people who complain they can't afford to save money while simultaneously financing their entire lifestyle. Their criticism is just projection of their own financial insecurity. The Buy Nothing Rebellion is ultimately about time. Every hour you don't spend working to afford stuff you don't need is an hour you can spend on relationships, hobbies, learning, or just existing without the constant pressure to earn more, so you can buy more, so you can work more. Your future self is counting on your current self to make these decisions. The 65-year-old version of you doesn't care what car you drove in your 30s. They care whether you saved enough to retire comfortably. They don't care what brand of shoes you wore to impress people whose names you can't even remember. They care whether you invested in your health, your relationships, and your financial independence. So there you have it. The Buy Nothing Rebellion isn't about living like a hermit or never enjoying anything. It's about choosing freedom over stuff, intentionality over impulse, and wealth over the illusion of wealth. Start with just one category and watch how quickly your bank account and your peace of mind transform. If this video helped you see your spending differently, smash that like button and subscribe for more financial reality checks. Your future self will thank you for watching this today instead of shopping.